Here's the problem. You can't keep coming in front of Congress and saying, oh, everything is wonderful. And then a report comes a few months later that says it's exactly the opposite of that. So they didn't even follow their own rules. And understand what this is. This is sensitive investigative matters. So this is matters that impact the First Amendment. This is religious groups. This could be political figures. This could be candidates. So these are the sensitive investigative matters. They have a set of rules they're supposed to follow. This report says they weren't following their own rules. And this is the same FBI that mishandled classified information during the Clinton investigation, the same FBI that spied on President Trump, the same FBI where Inspector General Horowitz has given us report after report that says they're not following the FISA procedures, and now we find out this. So we're simply saying, give us the unredacted, give us the full audit of what this investigation really said. We want to look at it.
Well, the amazing part of it is that they've got this one FBI agent as it relates to the falsifying of the affidavit, who was a Kleinsmith. And he was sentenced to, I think, probation, and he's still in good standing with the bar in Washington. You know, the American public is now looking at this and saying, hey, they do whatever they want, but that they can monitor the rest of us break their own rules, and there are no consequences. It's still the same people running the joint.
Right. It's one thing if for some federal agency, we don't want any federal agency doing, wrong behavior, but it's one thing if it's some federal agency that no one's ever heard of and they're not exactly following all the rules. But this is the FBI. This is the people who are, this is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, part of the Justice Department, not following their own rules. And oh, by the way, I didn't even mention that just a few months ago, we had a whistleblower come forward, and he had talked about an email he received from the FBI, went out to FBI agents across the country that says, put this threat tag designation, put this label on moms and dads, this whole domestic terrorism concern that Merrick Garland said wasn't happening, but sure looks like it is. So this is the same agency. So when you put all this together, this is why we're concerned, and we want to see that audit in its unredacted form.
But what can you do once you get the audit in unredacted form? Look, I mean, how much more do you need to say? Hillary Clinton's her emails where it was her only form of communication, and then she erased them, and they say, oh, don't worry about it, Hillary, but let's spy on Donald Trump. I mean, what else do you need? These are the same players, whether you get the audit or not. What, are the American people just left with the belief that there's nothing we can do about this?
Well, what we can do about it is put Republicans back in charge. Then we'll be able to get all the information. We'll be able to subpoena people if, in fact, we have to. We'll be able to get the truth to the American people, and that will have an impact on what they decide to do in the 2024 presidential election. Because when it comes to holding people accountable, only the executive branch can do that, only the Justice Department. My guess is Merrick Garland, the same guy who started this whole thing about spying on parents, the same FBI that's done the things I just talked about, they're not going to be interested in doing that. But if we get President Trump back in the White House, which is what I hope happens, and we get the right attorney general, then maybe then we can hold people accountable. That's how our system works. It's all about what the American people do on Election Day. Let's hope that come this fall, they're going to start that process and put Republicans back in charge of the Congress.